Call the meeting to order. Ms. John, if you're pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda's approved. No patron comments. No patron comments, so we are on to the consent agenda.
We'll try to do this out of memory. I make a motion to approve consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda passes. We are to recognitions.
All right, we got some recognitions tonight, and
Do those.
that's been in the past. Mr. Dryer
Doesn't matter.
graciously
It's your
agreed to
last
help
time.
out. And this evening we'll be representing or recognizing our FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America. And Mrs. Camarillo, I've seen her son right here in the front row. So District 15 has 15 schools, if I remember right.
Yes.
So this is pretty big stuff here. And so Mr. Dryer, I'll let you come on up and recognize.
You do.
I'm gonna do it for you. All right, so our FBLA competed in the district contest, which was held on CMOS campus a little over a month ago. If our students received a top 2 in a performance event or a top 5 in a written event, they qualified in advance to the state competition. Those students who met those qualifications, we had 8 students. Only a couple of them were able to make it tonight. So I'm just going to go ahead and go down the list. I know Janie Porter is our first student. She could not be with us tonight, but she got second place in business management. Our second student, who also could not be here tonight, was Zach Sire, and he got first place at the district contest in business plan. Another student who could not be with us, Eloise Bollinger, and she got second place at the district contest in customer service. Ashley Berkheimer could not be with us tonight, and she ended up getting first place at the district contest for graphic design.
She also placed in the top 15 at the state level. Ashley Berkheimer did. We just got back from state this week, so.
Josie Robinson could not be here with us tonight either. She ended up getting third place in journalism. And Bryce Nager also could not be with us tonight. He got third place in Intro to Business Procedures. All right, our next 2 students both are here. Thank you all very much. Then they qualified for the state competition in business ethics, and that was Levi Pylan. And qualifying also with business ethics is Brooke Suter. And then also our FBLA sponsor here is Mrs. Camarillo.
We'll go out. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We'll go right out there.
Okay, our next order of business is to certify the election results. Need to read the numbers. Take a motion.
Everybody's already seen it.
Everybody seen it. Okay.
Need to do a motion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to certify the results of the general municipal election held in Perry County on April 7th for the Perry County School District Board, and declare Terry Wishman as elected director for 1-year term, Nancy Belker, Caleb Stryler, and Daniel Query as elected directors to serve 3-year terms on the Board of Education for Perry County School District 32.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. You ready to swear him in? Let's go.
I'm gonna have you guys go in the center here, please. Front and center. Sure, unless you wanna, yes. Repeat after me, please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially discharge the duties
and impartially discharge the duties
of school director
of school director
in and for
in and for
the Perry County School District Number 32,
the Perry County School District Number 32,
County of Perry,
County of Perry,
State of Missouri,
State of Missouri,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
according to law.
according to law.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Wish I could tell you that we had nothing hard to figure out. I'd be lying. But, next I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Jones for the reorganization of the board.
Okay, in order to reorganize the board, the first item up for that on the agenda is to open the floor for nominations for board president.
I make a motion to nominate Dominic Blythe as board president.
Second.
Okay, we have a nomination of Dominic Blythe for president. That motion has been seconded. All in favor by show of hands. None opposed. And now I get to kick it back to the official new board president.
Okay, now we open nominations for the vice president of the Board of Education.
I make a motion to nominate Nancy Belker as vice president. Second.
Any other? All those in favor of Nancy Belker as vice president? Okay, Nancy will be the vice president. Next is the delegate for MSBA. Jamie's done this since I got on the board, so I actually asked him about this a while ago. And essentially, there's a couple meetings a year that they want you to attend to help guide the state board on political issues. Is that correct, Jamie? Did I say that right?
Yeah, I mean, MSBA has bylaws that get reviewed every year, so they'll send something out middle of the year to the delegate to look at any, and ask school districts if you have any suggested changes. And then they'll vote what gets put on, to the voting assembly and at the annual conference in October, November. Then you tend to vote for that. So two things that you'd actually have to attend if you go, and there's usually, I think there's an alternate.
There is.
So you can send anybody, if the delegate can't make it, you can send somebody else.
So, we need to open the nominations for a delegate for MSBA.
I motion to nominate Kevin.
I'll second that. Is that okay with you? All right, now we have the election of the alternate delegate, in case Kevin can't make it.
I nominate Terry.
Second.
All in favor of Terry for the alternate delegate for MSBA? Okay. Board treasurer. I'll make a motion to nominate Lacey O'Keefe as the board treasurer.
Second.
All in favor? And board secretary.
That's a tough one.
You're gonna get nominated.
Motion to nominate Julie Whitmire as board secretary.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, Julie, you're secretary, and election of the alternate board secretary.
Motion to nominate Lacey O'Keefe as the alternate secretary.
Second. All those in favor? All right. Now we're on to new business. I'll schedule a roll call vote to discuss student and personnel matters in closed session as permitted by revised Missouri statute 610.21, sections 3, 6, 13, 14, and 19 at the conclusion of open session.
Second.
Kevin,
Aye.
Caleb,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Dominic. Terry.
Aye.
I'm skipping.
Okay, we have a resignation of a board member. Alex Leaders announced her resignation, and so by board policy, we will have to declare a vacancy on the board, and then we have a policy that we use requiring 2 weeks of public notice. Put it in the paper, we'll put it on Facebook, whatever, to accept applicants, and then we'll have a meeting to discuss those applicants, interview as necessary, and we'll appoint someone to fill that role until April's election comes around. And then that position will be filled with a 1-year term, very similar to what Terry did this year. Because Alex will have another year left in April. So.
I move to accept the resignation of Alex Leaders and declare vacancy on the board.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we've got a vacancy. So now we need a motion to proceed.
Motion to proceed in the appointment of a new board member.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This is all in your board packets, I think, if you can follow along. It's easier on a computer, but
Yeah.
at least you can see something. Okay, so the next piece is the construction manager at risk contract.
On that, will the vacancy now open up tomorrow?
Yes. I'll work with Mr. Ford, or we'll work with Mr. Ford and newspaper, and we'll get that out. And then they'll have, we won't publish in the paper till next week, so it'll be, I guess, almost 3 weeks, because we'll have to have it in the paper twice. Correct? Well, it said 2 weeks, but I would think you'd want to run 2 weeks.
Was the paper required?
I got that policy up here, I believe.
I glanced through it on my list. It said it needed to be posted.
Yeah, I've seen that. It says you'll notify the newspaper, but it doesn't. The district will allow residents a minimum of 2 weeks from the date the district publicizes the vacancy on the website. So I guess as long as it goes on the website tomorrow, we can wait 2 weeks and do it as early as 2 weeks from there.
With our filing deadline. Application deadline.
For the application. But I think that's a board decision, if we wanna wait until it runs in the newspaper twice, or you wanna get it in the newspaper once and get it out on the website, Facebook, or whatever means necessary to get applicants.
My thought is just the sooner we can get the seat filled,
The better.
the better. So, only reason I asked.
Besides the newspaper, but I don't know if you're gonna get that many more applicants out of one more week in the newspaper.
Right.
The applicants are probably gonna step forward because of
Word of mouth.
word of mouth.
And website.
That way it'd be possible to have interviews 2 weeks from now.
Yes. Do we wanna try to set that as a date, 2 weeks from tomorrow? Everybody in favor of that?
Sure.
Okay. Well, we'll set that, 2 weeks from tomorrow. So the 29th, to the 30th, because it won't be on the website till tomorrow, right?
Correct.
So it'll be the 30th. Well, Thursday nights are bad, gotta be the 29th.
Board so chooses. Wednesday is the 29th, Thursday is the 30th, and Friday is May 1st.
Meeting, you wanna do a meeting on the 29th?
At least it'd be Wednesday.
That's our 2 weeks, I mean, that's our Wednesday night meeting.
Works for me.
Okay. Plan on a meeting on the 29th to review applications, get us a new member. I'll put it on the calendar so I don't forget.
I'll send you a reminder.
That happens. All right. Sorry. Okay, the construction manager at risk contract. Obviously, Dan and Caleb haven't had much time to review this. Did you guys see anything that scared you, drew attention?
No.
The last page, the addendum, was all stuff that our lawyer actually put in. And it took me a while to go back and forth, but it all seemed to make sense. And if our lawyer put it in there, he thought it was the best for us. Colin and his team has agreed to it, so. If there's no other comments, I guess we'll need a motion to.
Motion to approve the construction manager at risk contract as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Colin, you're in. So the next thing on our list here is obviously the storm recovery, the next steps. Prop kids failed last week, so we've got to go back to the drawing board and figure out how we can change, adapt, figure out what our next step is. Through the past week, I've heard stuff throughout the community of all sorts and shapes and sizes, and some of it's not worth repeating. I start the discussion. One concept that I heard, and Colin, Steve, I'll put you guys on the spot right away, is that if we cut the corners, simplify the building, make it a big rectangle, that makes it cheaper. True or false?
Say that again?
If we were to simplify the exterior of the building to a big rectangle instead of, we had kind of a freestanding performing arts and, we had multiple pieces. I heard from multiple people that they felt like if this was just one big rectangle, that it would be cheaper to build.
I would say from my experience in general, more corners is usually more money, but given the magnitude of this project, it is insignificant.
Part of the shapes of the design is meant to get the appropriate volume for the function that's inside of it. So the premise that you could, and then also it did work with the terrain that we have there. So as you know, that building stair steps down the hillside quite a bit. So by the approach that we took, breaking it up into smaller components. Otherwise, if you wanted to build one large rectangular box, you would actually be needing to still design that box around the largest parameters, so maybe that multi-purpose space, and then with the location of that as well. So you may end up actually building more volume of building by trying to do that. But I understand, right? More corners, as Colin has said, is more cost to that.
But I would also say the corners lent to shapes, which lent to projects, which
Yeah.
worked well with the phasing that we were gonna have to do this and move kids as minimal amount of time as possible.
If you were starting with an open space where you had nothing, it would make sense.
Yes,
Correct.
But adding on to existing buildings and all that
yes.
Correct.
would be kind of difficult.
And we were still trying to keep portions of that building that we felt we could salvage, so.
You'd almost have to build a big building over the existing building. I mean, that makes sense if you're starting fresh.
So one of the questions that I had is, we were originally talking about, I'll call it the west tower. I had someone else I talked to was calling it the south side. But that one tower of classrooms that we felt is fine. We were gonna start rehabbing them this summer. I mean, that financially is still okay. I mean, do we have any kind of cost figures on that?
We are working on getting a bid package for that out right now, which would be renovating those 3 stories of the west wing, which is a light renovation. It's basically a little bit of flooring, painting, new ceilings, new lighting, just enough work to get kids partially out of the tent structure and into that portion of the school, with heavier renovations would have been later on in the bond issue.
Okay.
But the heaviest part of it is putting the fac slab back in that portion of the building, which is a lot of casework and plumbing.
But we want to build that space into it in this phase. We feel like we can get that done in order to get the kids back in there, then they don't have to continue to keep moving around. So that was part of it.
Yeah, well, one of my goals is still to get out of Flex TC
Correct.
and get back to a much more permanent structure for classrooms. So that's why I was asking that.
That's been our focus as well.
I-
Try to get out of that lease obligation that we have there and that's the goal, to get out of that. And then also to still be hitting our timelines. We have summers to work with. Obviously, we can move kids into spaces in September, October, whatever, but it's not ideal, so we're trying to group work so we can get in there, get that work out, move in, then they don't have to be messed with for the semester, so.
So when you come up with a bid package with a couple of weeks, I mean, by May, we may be ready, by the end of May, we may be ready to go on that.
That package is supposed to be out next Tuesday, and it bids on May the 7th, with the anticipation that we would come to you guys on the 13th with motion for approval.
Very good.
And that would house not all, but some of the classrooms that are in the tent.
Correct.
Colin, is it feasible to demolish the condemned parts that are gonna be torn down anyway, and do you have a number of them?
That is part of the bid package that is coming out next week. And right now, the plan is to make that a two-phase process, with the first phase being this summer, which would be the 200, 300 wing in the gymnasium. Again, we're trying to get that work completed over the summer while the buildings are not occupied. There's not a lot of traffic on campus because there's a lot of heavy equipment involved in that. And we're estimating, depending on which phase you're looking at, somewhere between 250, 450,000 for that demo.
And that's removing debris, everything.
Removing debris, hauling it off, getting it backfilled and back to a new site.
And closing up the.
Yep, correct,
attached
temporary
parts.
partitions of what has to remain.
What had been done in that south wing, last fall already?
We renovated the existing science classrooms and the music choir rooms, new flooring, paint, ceilings. We temporaried the HVAC systems. Instead of replacing them, we got some components to limp them along. We replaced the roofs in those areas. We relocated the fire alarm system back into that area. We did some mold mitigation, duct cleaning, asbestos demolition. I believe that's pretty much the gist of it.
So, I don't, it's hard to figure out where to start here, but in your guys' opinion, do you feel like there's some ways that we can value engineer this, I guess we could call it, that we could shave some money off the total project? And, I mean, we want to keep as much as we can. I mean, I think that all the pieces we had were important. The voter said no. I think we gotta go back to the voter and ask for money again, but I think we have to figure out what's right to go to the voter with. I hate to see any piece of it leave. I mean, I think all of it was important myself. But I don't know, I'm not saying you didn't do your job, but we're at a tough time here, and we gotta try to figure out what we can do that we can get the most bang for our taxpayers' dollar, so that we can go back to them and ask.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, we have not had much time, obviously, to try to dig into these things. But we have had some discussions with the school leadership. We're going to continue to have those. We have more meetings this week, tomorrow when we're here still, to try to start shaking that out. Really, we want to make sure that we have a venue that we can house a large event in it. You know, we know we've got a multi-purpose space, we've got a gymnasium, the two biggest spaces and volumes we have in this building. So, you know, I think we're going to take a hard look at those and see how each of those function different. You know, we've all had probably lots of events in a gymnasium, and you're sitting there thinking, boy, I wish I had a multi-use space that was kind of more geared towards this event. And obviously you can't do athletics in a multi-purpose space, otherwise you end up with the gym that you're using as an event space. So we really need to kind of dig into that, but I do think there is some areas where we can make some square footage reductions in those. I mean, we're gonna need to look at a lot of options here and see what we can have. We've talked about it before, about how this building's been built in multiple phases over all these years. Some of the column lines and the way it's been built is a one big limiting factor. We just can't arbitrarily kind of go in there and say, we need to remove this area. It might not be right where we want to remove it, so we have to remove a little more, because that's where it was built. So we need to take a good hard look at what we can do on the demolition part of it. You know, we're trying to keep, like I said, we're trying to keep a couple sections of this building. There's still, as Colin mentioned, the 200, 300, the gym. Lots of questions about the area C, we call it, which is the library piece. Just a lot of concerns with that, trying to save that portion or not. I'll leave my opinion where it is for now. The part where the science rooms are, again, there's, the way that was built, it was so purpose-built for that the geometry of that's really tough work, but we're gonna take a close look at that piece of it. So we're gonna need to just explore what we can do to try to shrink some of the square footages up. Obviously, I think there's been some discussions about, as you mentioned, the corners of buildings and the heights and the elevation changes of buildings. You know, we can still study some of that, but I don't see big moves in those that's gonna move the needle on the cost. You know, we're gonna still continue to develop the exterior. We haven't gotten into a lot of the detail about all of the construction of those exterior walls, where windows are, what sizes those windows are, those types of things, you know. So there's, you know, we're gonna look at all those. We've always took this pride and practicality. We take that to heart in every decision we make. And as we continue to develop the details and the design, you know, we know we're gonna have to look for spaces where we can kind of work towards a smaller solution, but still maintain the integrity of what we need to get out of that space. Because at the end of the day, this building, as we've talked about, is gonna be here for a very long time. And it needs to function, otherwise we're displacing anything we put into it. So, we know we got some work to do on that. We wanna learn more about what you heard from the community, about why they expressed their concerns and what was it that maybe made them vote one way or the other. The more we can understand about that, the better we're gonna be able to do this exercise that I'm talking about that we need to try to do, so.
I can tell you too, the one thing that you have going for you is also going against you. This building is large enough, you have a lot of economy of scale with the square footage, which brings the pricing down.
Yeah.
But the only way you're gonna cut money is cut square footage, because I can tell you, as we're still working through the budgeting process, with what work we've done with SAP, a lot of the money on these buildings is in the structure itself. And the structure approach that we are attempting is from the get-go very budget conscious without jeopardizing the longevity of the building. So we're looking at cold form metal framing and structural steel as opposed to some economic issues that we have with load-bearing masonry and things. And so we're not leaving any stone unturned to look and see what can we do to save costs without jeopardizing this building being around for 100 years.
And realistically, $1 million here, $1 million there is not gonna.
It's insignificant to what we're talking
And I
about.
think what the voters are saying, 15, 20 million less is what they're saying. You're not gonna get much for that, are you?
You're gonna have to start talking about leaving parts and pieces of what were originally gonna be removed. And that proposes more challenges, as Stephen started to get into. There's a lot
It's
of.
like rehabbing an old house, where do you stop?
Yeah.
Before you know, you got.
That
prices
building's been
everywhere.
built onto numerous times.
Yeah.
And then-
From what I'm hearing, that's the number that people are going, need to be in that 30 million range. But they don't realize.
The other problem is too, when you start touching components of these buildings, the whole, where do you start, where do you stop? These buildings were built in different eras with, in some cases, no building code. So if you touch it,
You gotta update everything.
Yeah, there's things we'll have to do. There's just no choice. I mean, from a life safety, ADA accessibility, they have to be done. And a lot of those are probably the most expensive parts and pieces of the building. Restroom, stairs, circulation, all those sorts of things. We need to set this building up and fire areas, so that we can control things in this building. We also, will be providing all the egress that we need. At the same time, we want to eliminate as much egress as we have, because that's a security issue right now. So, there's a lot of things we just have to fix. We have to do it right. And at the end of the day, whatever we do, it's gonna be done right. Because it's gonna be here forever.
Let's start annual.
Must know.
What was the square footage of everything we had?
The overall square foot
Approximate.
Right around 141,000, I believe.
141,000.
That's counting renovation and new construction.
Correct.
Did you have a breakdown on renovation or?
I can look it up.
We've been carrying a couple of different values for renovation, because, it can swing widely. You can go from $175, $150, $175, to $250 on reno. It depends on what you're doing. If it's the stuff you can touch and feel and see, it's on the lower end. If it's all in the walls, the plumbing in the floor, the HVAC, then that starts driving your cost up. So we were carrying two different values for the renovation portions, as well as on the new construction side. Some spaces are more expensive than other spaces, so. And cost is not only the cost of the price of the product that you specify and gets installed, it's the impact that it has on him, his schedule of getting it done. That's an added real cost on the labor side of it. So you have to, realize it's the total cost that we're trying to always pay attention to.
Yeah, you have to jackhammer plumbing now.
We were in the 36,000 range for renovation, and so the difference there would be, this number's a little bit different than that, around 100 to 110,000 for new additions. That's the current design. Basically taking the science wing northward, demolishing, and moving back.
So, we talked about pre-engineered metal buildings. That was going to be some space that we could use for classrooms. To get out of flex DC, the tent as we call it.
So we had, prior to last week, we had recently bid out the first two of what would have been 3 bid packages for that interim pre-engineered metal building. This is what would be your guaranteed max price amendment. It would become part of our contract, and this is for bid package 1A and 1B. If you flip through there's lots of good information, but there's a bid tabulation for bid package 1A, which was the metal building itself, furnishing and erecting the metal building. And then the second bid package, which was 1B, which we bid last week, was the foundations, the site utilities, the site work, and the site electric. So, had you choose to award that, that would have put you at about, committed to about 1.3 million, with close to a couple $100,000 in contingency allowances for rock and unsuitable soils. So roughly around $1 million. The third package, the third and final package, what would have been, or would be the interior fit out of that space, which would be locker room, additional classrooms, and everything associated with the framing, the drywall, the light fixtures, HVAC system, plumbing, lockers, doors, hardware. But we went ahead and bid, we got through this second bid package, which was 1B, 1A and 1B. which gets us to today. If you choose to move forward with it.
And if we attempted to go this way, continue this path, what is a realistic timeline?
We were originally hoping to get this done by the end of the year.
Right.
I don't wanna say that ship has sailed, but,
We're running out of days.
we are running out, and,
You mean the calendar year, not the school year?
the calendar year.
Calendar.
Again, trying to get out of the Flex TC structure, which I believe is, at least through February, I think. That's the clock that we're ultimately working against, but again, as Stephen mentioned earlier, we don't like to move kids in the middle of the semester, so we were looking for the end of the calendar year, so that your staff had enough time to move furniture and, the kids come back at the beginning of the year, they can start in that space.
How many classrooms was it gonna be?
12, I think, is that right?
6.
6, so.
Was what?
We have some of that space remains of shelf space now, where we've left out a portion of the slab for future athletic purposes.
So I think that there's some other space that we've talked about recently in the elementary school that we could possibly have those classrooms moved to. Have y'all looked at that?
We've just really just been some early discussions about that opportunity that might be there, so. But from a design, construction, egress, whether or not there's any of those components that would need to be done, I don't believe there really is much, but, you know, there could be something that we need to do to maybe provide some separation, I don't know that, but we haven't had that discussion. But we have, that's what we've been trying to do, is just, identify spaces to try to get the rest of the needs to get out of that facility.
That would be high school over there.
Yeah, so it's far from ideal, but it was just another idea that I heard.
Where's everybody? I know this is, maybe Mr. Schaefer can chime in here. What's the plan? Where are the kids going? Good question, right? But like,
Well, Dan, since you asked.
like, what are you using in the high school? I know the old senior highs in use. I mean, the old barn, is that gonna be classrooms next year? What are we doing?
Literally, the conversations I was having all day yesterday and today is working on what makes the most sense for the most students and the most staff. The big kind of guiding thought, we did this, kind of let the high schoolers fall wherever they need to in the middle school, elementary, old senior high, the 5th grade area. That was 6 weeks to finish out the school year. And I'm still incredibly proud and grateful that we had the opportunity to do that way, but there is a real big difference between finishing out 6 weeks in the spring just to get it done, we can make anything work in 6 weeks, and potentially 2 to 3 years of this is your life. So while I can say, yeah, we can find spots to drop these classes without the pre-manufactured, we call it Steely Dan, it's just a lot easier to go by that way without building Steely Dan. What that looks like and where it's gonna happen, it's too soon to say. Because there's a lot of factors and a lot of people are gonna be affected by that. And I don't take that kind of decision lightly. Because you're talking every 48 minutes, kids are changing classes. And if I'm sending kids from the old senior high to the elementary building, I just chewed up about 8 to 10 minutes worth of hall passing time rather than the 4 minutes that we're currently using. So you go over the course of a week, if we're adding 6 minutes to hall passing every hour, that's 48 minutes a day, 5 hours, what is that, 240 minutes? We just lost 4 hours of instructional time in 1 week. That's a half a day of class every week that we're losing. 16 weeks in a year, that's 64. It's a lot. It adds up quickly. So with that said, the whole reason I'm rambling on you a bit here is, it sounds like a simple thing, hey, you need 6 classes, it's a complex problem. Right now, we are looking, sorry Dan, we are looking at the 5th grade building a little bit, the old barn down there, that's currently housing the entirety of the maintenance department, so we would have to find a place for them to fall elsewhere. The weight room has currently been displaced there down there in the cheernasium, so we would be looking at a new place for them. We just started having conversations today with the administration at the elementary school to see if there were spots where we might be able to use some of their classes. They were very open and gracious to offer those up again on this one end. I think they call it their E-hallway right under the bell tower, so not as much intermingling with the elementary school students and on this far close side. But again, we're not talking about 6 weeks in spring, we're talking 3 years. That's when it's 10 degrees outside and it's sleeting sideways. That's when it's ice and snow and the whole 9 yards. And we can say, hey, I used to walk uphill in the snow both ways to school, but the truth of the matter is, it's every 48 minutes for 168 school days every year for the next 3 years for those kids. So I don't know the exact answer yet, but we are looking at every single possible location.
Mr. Schaefer, in your opinion, the Steely Dan, as you call it, I think that's a nice term, is still the best option if we can afford it, as far as semi-permanent?
Speaking
temporary.
Personally, my personal opinion is that I really hate to let go of Steely Dan, because it's our temporary interim fix. It works well, but it's also an investment in the long term. However, if we're sinking money into Steely Dan to the tune of about $3 million on the front end, helps us to maintain some of those funds for a better long-term solution for the new high school, I'm all for that. I would rather keep more of the long-term instructional and academic spaces in the new high school and come up with a less perfect solution in the interim. Every dollar we sink into these interim fixes is a dollar that comes off of our permanent solution. And that's something that, you keep that in the back of your head every time. I do anyway. And so if that means, okay, we're gonna have to do a little bit more walking, we're gonna have to do some things that are not ideal, and the kids and the staff are gonna have to deal with that, well, that's what the voters have asked for, is find a way to make it work. And I would rather do that than cut away some of these instructional spaces that kids are gonna need 30, 40, 50 years from now.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's another piece of our discussion, and obviously. We had prop kids and we thought that we were gonna build a pre-engineered metal building to buy time on the construction. It's not built in, but we gotta try to stretch the insurance money as long as we can. How do we wanna proceed there?
Well, if the building costs $3 million, how many more classrooms does an extra $1 million add? Sure, Mr. Shaker.
I'm sure. Is that a Colin question?
Well, if you're asking me, the dilemma you have there is real estate. You just don't have the real estate to do it unless you converted that shell space into classrooms.
Shell space?
There's a portion of that building that is shelled out for future, whatever you end up using it for in the future.
So you're saying that the engineered metal building in the bid package is large enough to house more classrooms, but it's not in the bid to finish them out at this point?
Yeah, which we haven't done any of those yet. So is that what we could end up with, was another 5 or 6?
No, I think we can fit 6 fairly sized classrooms of 650 to 900 square feet in this shell, and that's what we're planning for this package. It's planning on going out next week for the interim school. Then there will be a future package down the road to convert those classrooms to an athletic use. We're thinking that it would be an athletic training, indoor athletic training area, where those classrooms would be demolished and we go back with an athletic turf and fit it out for batting cages and whatnot. That would be in the future.
So I guess, if I'm right, Kevin, what you were asking is what kind of square footage would have to be added to this building to add, go to from 6 classrooms to 8 or 10? Is that what you were asking?
Right, but they already answered it.
Okay.
It's shelled out, shell is there. It's the cost of putting the classrooms.
Okay.
What percent of it is classrooms in the special ed?
Like 75% of it's classroom,
And
then the rest of it
25%
is
open?
restrooms and locker room space.
So the northern end of the building is permanent locker rooms for the soccer teams, both male and female, and the football team. Then we have restrooms that are gonna serve double duty, in the northwest corner, that will serve as restrooms for the classrooms, while it's a classroom space, for phase 1. And then during game days, when the field is being used, it will be open to the public for public use, for restrooms during the game day. And then the southern portion of the building, we're preserving 2 classrooms that will be permanent classrooms. And then we have a partition wall, and we have 4 additional classrooms that are below that partition wall that are temporary classrooms for the time being. And then those 4 classrooms will be renovated to a weight training, a athletic training, a batting cage, some sort of indoor athletic training facility is the current plan.
So all of that makes up a 10,000 square foot building that barely fits where we have it on the inside.
I think it's 100,000 square feet. No, 10,000. Sorry.
That's right off the hill from the football field, right? Parking lot?
Yes, yes, sir.
It's in the east end zone, in the flat grassy area behind the east end zone.
Oh, I thought it was down off the hill.
We had talked about that spot, but for lots of various reasons, we moved it up on top of the hill. So the long-term solution was better on top of the hill.
So just right out the door.
Yeah. So if I could paraphrase the pre-engineered discussion from my point of view, it's really it's this decision of, as Mr. Schaefer pointed out, of dollars spent now on interim facilities from funds that are coming from recovery funds, not from tax funds, that would then take away potential renovation money from the high school. So it's really a question to the board of, do you want to make that investment now to get students out of that into a new pre-engineered building? Or do you want to not make that investment now and find another way to put children in hard-roofed, temporary facilities, either at the maintenance barn, at the elementary school, or some other solution we have not discovered yet? That's really the ask that we're asking tonight is, do we go ahead and bid that project out, build a new facility, or do we find another way and not spend as much money to put them somewhere else?
You're asking, we're giving you to go ahead to bid, or, I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the question.
So that's not the go ahead to build it, that's the go ahead to bid it.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, you would not be committing to actually building it, that we would get, Colin would get bids back, he would compile all those, he would present a price, that you would have to approve at that point, to then cut them to go ahead and build it. But what we wouldn't want to do though is put that project out to bid, if there is not a good sense that you're gonna follow through with that. Because we don't wanna put the projects out there for bid, people spending a lot of their time on it, it costs them money to put bids together, and then for that to happen. And then if they start to sense that, it's like, well, I wonder if they're gonna do this on the next one and the next one. So we don't wanna do that, so really, it would be just decision time, do we put it out to bid? And then if they come in on the dollar values that we feel are fair and they're within the range we've been talking about, then the assumption would be that, yes, we're gonna follow through on that and get that project through.
Well, I would not want to approve it tonight myself, since this is actually the first description I've heard of it.
That is
Very tough to do.
these bid packages that you have here and in front of you, 1A and 1B, If you don't, if you table that, that's fine, you can revisit it. I can hold those prices for 30 days, sometimes longer. So you're well within your right to do that. The caveat being, with this metal building, we're trying to get out of
Right.
the tent and
It shouldn't take 30 days to get familiar with it. It just would take a meeting or two.
So the cost for the building, I mean, you said you're gonna go bid, so I'm assuming that is like a design cost, that's not a hard number, it's what you all, as architects, think it will cost, correct? Sorry, new year.
No, that's fine, I mean, yeah, we've been working with Kyle Brockmiller, and they resolved, that's the benefit of a CMAR approach to it. We've been working through the design, back and forth through all of that, talking with providers that are gonna provide parts and pieces of this building, to get those prices honed in, and Colin, you guys have put, I think, some estimated costs for that.
Now, these bids that are in front of us here, though, actually have a GMP amendment.
if you accepted those tonight, that's the cost.
Okay.
That's two of the three pieces of the puzzle we're talking about.
Correct.
And the reason that we broke this up into pieces is because we're trying to fast track the construction of it to get a leg up on getting, the building, for instance, has a lead time of 16 weeks. So that's why we did that package first, because we wanted to get it on order, giving the design team more time to finish their design on the interior shell and build out. There's also lead times with relocating utilities. If you were to do this, part of this work that's in this bid package, the cost is not in there, but I have it here with me tonight, is with Citizens. They have power that has to be relocated to fit this building where it's supposed to go. So there's some coordination and time that's gonna take as well, so.
I just wanna make sure that, when we're talking about bidding, but these pieces here are.
That is a firm cost.
And this is good for 30 days.
Yes, if
Well,
push come to shove, I
I
think
mean,
we
you
can
took
get.
them last week, right? So-
Yeah, the first one was a week before that, I believe, 1A was, and this 1B was last week, so yes. But I think everybody understands the situation that you're in, and they're all team players, and if they can, as long as they can hold their material pricing, they will.
Sure. It's pretty volatile right now. So obviously, I mean, it's gonna be a long deal, we're probably gonna have more meetings, but I think step one is we gotta figure out where we're gonna put the students as quickly as possible. And step two, then, do we try to go back and survey the taxpayers again and try to find the level that they will meet us at? And I mean, what's your guys' opinion on that? Where should we go next? Is the survey right? I mean, we felt like we put it out pretty good. Obviously, we didn't get enough.
I mean, I think we should do a survey again for sure. I don't know if it was in the paper or not, but I think it should be in the paper. I think we should have a QR code in that paper that people can scan. I also think the district should put a direct inward dialing phone number on there that goes to a voicemail only, so you can hit your less tech savvy people as well. If you're doing a survey on the computer, you may not get,
I know it was in the paper, you helped me with that. I know it was in the paper. Was there a QR code, do you recall?
there was.
I don't recall.
We
Well,
also provided paper copies also.
right, then you gotta come and get it. I think if you had a phone number, which, believe me, there's plenty of, this is easy to do.
Okay.
Somebody would have to check that voicemail, or you could have that forwarded to somebody's email, to where you could get a wider variety than what we had last time.
Sure.
That's just my opinion.
I agree. I mean, the deadline to make the August ballot, it we wanna put it back on that ballot is May 26th. So this work's got to be done pretty quickly, and it's going to take several attempts. If a survey is what the board thinks we ought to do, I think we need to start putting it together.
I mean, I don't know how else we would definitively be able to say, except for what we've heard in the community.
Yeah, and I mean, people that are coming talking to me are telling me one thing, they're telling, you know,
Right.
and who am I hearing? I mean, I'm hearing 10 people. So I think a survey is the best, but we gotta try to reach, I think we gotta get the most reach we can.
About both million.
I think response on mails really low.
And our professional services also do the phone surveys where a company will call individuals and ask them questions and record their responses.
Any idea on the cost?
Mike had proposed that at one time to the board. I don't know if he put a cost out. Do you all recall? Do you remember Mike Wright speaking about that as an option?
I remember him talking about it, but I don't remember the cost. For some reason, I was thinking there was a timeline. Did it take him longer? Does anybody recall that? Jamie London, do you recall? Was it a long time or something that it took him to do that?
He acted like in the compressed time that we had, he was worried that they wouldn't have time to get it together, I think. And there's a cost too.
I can't remember. I
But
know
he's-
there was
he thought
a
those
cost.
results were invaluable. But
I mean, I think we need some feedback. I mean, when you talk to passionate people, I was floorboarded by how many people came to me last week and said, put it out exactly like you did. That failed, that kind of floorboarded me, but I heard that a lot.
I think we need to push getting information out on it a lot more than what we did.
I think it's gonna be a disadvantage, just like the first time, asking what they're willing to, how much they wanna pay when they don't know what they're getting.
Sure.
I think that was a big problem the first time.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with any of it. I'm just trying to figure out where to go, because, again, if we want it on the August ballot, it has to be there by May 26th.
Well, if we could get this survey sent out quickly, we could start reviewing it in 2 weeks at
Yeah.
that next meeting there. I don't know how long we went, I don't know what we did last time.
It was,
Probably longer than that.
It was about a month.
yeah, it was out for quite a while.
Maybe then we could see trends.
But I think right now, we have a lot of traction. We have a lot of people looking to see what we're doing. So if we get a survey out, we might get a lot of responses really quick. I'm not sure. The survey, I would assume you want it, like we had last time, a multiple choice kind of thing. What number would you support if you were in support of a new tax? I think if you put no, you weren't in support of a new tax, it just skipped the next question altogether. Is that correct? I took it, but that was a long time.
I think we should have maybe we did, but a spot on there to click no, tell us why.
We did, okay.
Okay.
I think Mr. Ford would probably tell me more about it than I remember, but,
You had comments section on that too, didn't you? Lots of comments. That was kind of,
yeah. Just to tell you from when I fill out surveys, there's very seldom comments.
right, but this one had a lot of,
I'm gonna check the boxes and turn it in and move on. Just- Sorry, Jamie?
I know that people complain because we didn't mail something out. Could you mail it and kill two birds with one stone, include the QR code and a form that can be filled out? They could either turn it in as a piece of paper, they could fill out the QR code, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, so the problem with anything you mail out, they'll have to be individually numbered. because otherwise you can make copies.
Well-
Other than that, you can kill, I mean, people can do it electronically then, or they can turn it in. Or put a number on there. I mean,
Yeah, I don't-
you can get it out to everybody, and then everybody can't say they didn't hear it, or didn't have an opportunity.
I don't, yeah.
It's just, there's a cost involved with that.
I like your idea of having the phone line open too, because like you said, I think there's some people that will do that.
Right. I think numbering, kind of identifying them, because you'll have to address like the number.
Keeps it from being anonymous.
Correct.
But we did have a single IP address you entered.
Yeah, but without subpoenaing an internet service provider, you're not gonna know who that is.
We didn't want to know who it was, but
Right.
we did have someone who attempted to secure university.
Okay.
If, as part of that survey, I mean, the more information we could put about, you know, UConn said it's, I've heard it several times, if we could put out some information, if we could put out this square footage of a building, housing, a performing arts center, a gym, 38 classrooms, if we could put those types of numbers together to tell them what they're accepting 39 cents on or whatever. And then have, and this is just thinking out loud, and then have another option that says, okay, if we leave the Performing Arts Center off and we just get the 36 classrooms and the gymnasium, it's gonna cost you this much.
We're probably not gonna know that.
That's gonna be challenging to put together quickly.
We have historical data on buildings like that, but to your point, there's not a lot of time
I know.
to, and I have to mention also, back before this ballot was voted on, our goal was, the way this was phased, was to get you out of the tent. And the second level of priority that I saw was you have no place to play basketball. And what we were gonna try and do was start that project this summer and finish it before the following year's basketball season. So there's also that looming issue that needs to be addressed.
So I think you and I talked briefly on Friday about the possibility of a pre-engineered metal gym. If we had these classroom spaces and we could do that as pretty as we could, is that how quick? I mean, it's not gonna be fast.
It's not gonna be fast, and does it lend itself to be cost efficient? Yes. But from a timing standpoint, we were hoping that you would only have to have one more basketball season not on campus. And so currently, that is going to be more than 1 year.
So where do we go? Let's see what this turn.
I would say meeting and seeing what numbers.
So we need to try to set up another work session. That's kind of what's thinking in my mind, is we need to set up another work session.
Because until we have some kind of, I don't mean concrete, but some kind of ballpark numbers, so that people know what.
Yeah. So Stephen, you said you're gonna be here tomorrow, and you're gonna dig into some areas around campus and things.
Yeah, we have recurring meetings with what we call building committee, so which is a leadership group just to continue to talk about the project. We've been having those meetings regularly. And then also tomorrow, we're gonna have a meeting in the afternoon with the city of Perryville, just to talk to their building department, make sure we're on the same page as far as life safety, building codes, and sorts of things, so. But yeah, we'll be in Springfield, Perryville, hopefully tomorrow.
If we were to schedule another work session meeting for next Wednesday, it would be the 22nd.
Okay, that was that meeting with Mike Gregg.
We don't need to meet with Mike Gregg, we don't have any money to sign and sell bonds.
He can come.
I mean, he could
Give you
make
an
it.
idea.
Well,
Kill two birds with one stone.
Somewhere along the line, we're going to have to get input from him
Yes.
at the same time.
Yes, and we can do that yet next week and try to incorporate that into the work session. But I think that original date with Mike was to sell bonds and sign paperwork because we were not going to pass an election.
Okay. We're gonna have to know both.
Agreed. So do we want to schedule, and I think that was the 21st. It was Tuesday the 21st. Do we want to schedule that into a work session with Stephen, hopefully Stephen, Colin, and Mike? To dig into the financing and the building and what can we do?
Yeah, I think either Tuesday work, Wednesday work.
In the meantime, we can start working on the new survey and hopefully maybe possibly even approve that for release on that night. Does that sound reasonable?
You gotta get it out by next week or.
It's gotta go quick.
Be useful.
Do we wanna ask the community, right now, we don't need numbers for what I'm about to say, why they said no?
Sure. So would you, how would you solicit that question and how would you get the responses and organize it? You're an IT guy, you got a better idea than I do. You know, that's why I'm saying, yes, I agree with you. And I've been out asking, I'm sure a lot of people have been out talking, like I said, trying to figure out what the feel for the community was. I'm all for it, yeah, let's reach out to the community and say, hey, to those that voted no, what was the breaking point for you? So that we can address that in a future agenda. But I don't know what the correct answer to get that question out and quantify the results.
We've had a couple of community forums, community sessions where it's been open, where we've had lots of opportunities after kind of a more formal presentation to meet and talk to folks as they were there. And the overwhelming majority of the folks that were coming to those events, and talking to the group of us, there was several of us over on the side, and we really heard not a lot of the negative about it. They really were telling us what the positives and what they liked about them and where they were on that range of things to do. And that was what kind of got us to the point where we are today with the solution. It was based on those two community sessions that we had. So I agree, we have to figure out a way to try to extract that information from people as to why they voted the way they did. I think we know a lot about why people voted in favor of it, because they're probably the same comments and things we've already heard a couple times. It's trying to extract that other piece of information that, and what was it? Was it just maybe something was unclear? They didn't know what was in, what was out. I think the ask was set a dollar value. Those dollar values were established based on what we had calculated that we needed to do, the plans that we've been presenting to the board up to now. So it wasn't just, we had some plans, we had a number, and they didn't align. There was alignment that was there, that was the target. So I agree, we gotta find out we have to listen to what the public has said, the community has said, because this project is gonna need funding for it. And we've gotta get kids back in classroom spaces, and we don't have a lot of time to do it. So it's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't wanna feel like you're rushed, but there is a sense of urgency that we have to make these decisions. So I don't know how we get the information from you. What, you wanna tell us, what was your concern? I don't know how that works, but that's important, because we can't keep 4 months along, we end up putting a project out, and still for whatever reason, they decide they don't like that solution either. It's just like throwing darts at the dartboard. This is taking time away to get kids back in the classroom.
If we put another survey out, can we put a question on that survey? Did you vote on the Prop Kids proposition in April? If so, did you vote yes or no? If you voted no, can you tell us what we need to fix to get your support? And I suspect there's gonna be some people that are gonna say, I'm not supporting a new tax regardless. And that's their choice, I understand that, but maybe that would be a way to get those suggestions of, hey, the project's too big, or we didn't know anything about it, or we needed to know about FEMA money. Maybe that would be a way to extract some information from the public as the people that said no, was there a hot button item that made them say no?
I think we could build a survey conditionally.
Because when you had one of those, you had some of those
Yeah.
questions in the last one that if you marked yes, it took you here, and if you,
Yes,
but we could do that, correct?
yes.
Would that would help get where you were talking about too, I
Right.
think.
Right.
We
Gives
could
us a
collect,
starting point.
we could collect some information on why the no's were no's. That would help us polish our plan and come back with an answer that fits that better.
And if we actually decide, come up with how we want to survey, would you have the time to take care of it?
Sure. I can definitely be involved as we need to be.
Familiar with all the, much more familiar with it than I am, so.
Sure.
Do you all have like I know it's a very generalized question, and there's no comparing exact school to school, because every community and every school is different. But is there a way where we could create a comparable, what's a new high school cost to build?
I can answer that, yes. We've prepared some numbers to go over with the building committee tomorrow, looking at some recent projects.
And what's some of the, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but
Yeah.
like, what's an average new construction in high school that would be comparable in square feet and what we're thinking?
I'll bring up the, if you're all right with me presenting the actual numbers, I can present to the group.
It's just a question that I think would be valuable to the community. Do you all
Sure.
agree?
Just a range.
Just a range. I know
Colin,
that every
you had-
school's different.
You had some numbers for us like that.
Yeah, so we have 5, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 middle school and high schools, that have bid in the last 2 to 3 years. And the average dollar per square footage is $363. And I believe we were budgeting right around 380 to 400 for our project, giving ourselves a little bit of cushion and contingency. And so we budgeted anywhere from 250 square foot for like a storage room that's new construction, all the way up to 500 square foot for the multi-purpose room that would have more AV and theatrical components that would drive up the costs. So that's new construction. Renovation, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 comparables of varying sizes, from 4,000, actually 1,600 square feet, a very small renovation, 4,000 square feet, 36,000 square feet is probably the most accurate to your scale, and that was at $175 a square foot. And we were budgeting right around 150 to 200, depending on the level of mechanical, electrical, and HVAC interventions we would need to do in those existing spaces. And Colin, a lot of those numbers came from Colin's group. We looked at our historical data as well, and we feel that we're really on par for modern 2026 numbers, taking into account inflation, COVID prices increases, costs. Some costs pre-COVID to now are 50% higher, and that's just the reality of the world right now. So it's a bit shocking when you look at your previous projects that were funded under Prop Kids, because those were pre-COVID. They were bid out right before everything went sideways. And so you have to take that into account, inflation and all those different factors in a very short amount of time, and it throws off the perspective quite a bit.
Yeah. But and I preface this, but I think Colin, you showed us a bunch of your numbers when we talked about different building styles and schools that you would build. If it came back in the survey that the voter was concerned about price per square foot or whatever, if we could then educate them on the amount of square foot we're building, and here's a school, here's all these schools that have recently been built about this square footage, this is where we're coming up with our price. We're not just pulling out of a hat. We're using real data of square footage of schools, recent construction. We could maybe put that together as an educational piece. Does that seem like it would be helpful to people?
I think the educational pieces will make a huge difference.
Yeah. And I think going forward, like, these work sessions, having work sessions, and I think having a work session with the Political Action Committee, that we can answer their questions, and we can make sure that everybody's clear on everything, so that when we're educating them, we're all educating them the right way, the same way. Not that they did anything incorrectly, but just trying to get as much quality information out there as possible.
Right. Would probably help us a lot then if we could get in on the building committee meetings. Some of us, or whoever, keeps us familiar with what's going on that end. Hard part's fitting it into a work schedule.
So, I guess next step is we will start working on generating a survey. We'll have a work session next Tuesday, the 21st. We'll try to get Stephen and Colin and Mike and the board together and just kind of hash out plans, start talking about release of the survey. Does that sound good to everyone? It's gonna leave us with 1 month to create a ballot initiative, so it's gonna be quick. But I really think that we need to stay on this. I think we need to get back on the August ballot. But we need to try to do it in a way that we can be assured, feel confident that it would pass.
Right.
Because we wanna keep going, we wanna get these kids in school.
And yeah, just before we get out of here, again, back to the 1970 Ann Arbor West Wing project where we're trying to do the light reno to get the kids in there so we get that work done this summer. Those documents are getting wrapped up basically as we speak this week. And the intent was to try to get those put out on the street and get those prices for that. I think every scenario we ran through these months of the design, has had that wing staying as part of the solution. Can we go ahead and still put that package out to bid? That's something that you all would consider trying to get that project and award that, because that opens up the ability to get quite a few classroom spaces.
Yes, I think that's something that was a plan anyway. And
I
that
just want to
gets
clear
us
that-
kids back in
Yeah.
real classrooms that could be permanent. I mean, obviously, we could re-renovate them at some point, but I'm personally all on board with trying to get that done.
So we'll continue down that path and we'll get it.
Because that was the section of the building that was structurally fine and good to go. We just need to
Correct.
get it back to classroom worthy.
And we, as part of that package, we're taking advantage of that to include some demolition of the structurally unstable, dangerous portions of the building. So if we feel that that's okay to go ahead and get those taken down this summer of 2026, get those out of the way, we would include that in that package as well.
Is it a separate part of the bid?
It will be broken out separately.
Broken out, okay.
And again, the other, backing into it, if we bid this on the 7th and you can't award it on the 13th, we can get all this done before the start of next school year, which is what we really need to do.
But this would come, and again, the way it was asked, this would come in as a renovation project bid and a demolition bid, and we could approve one or the other.
Correct.
Do we need a formal motion to allow that to happen? Kevin, go ahead.
Right, I'll make the board let the bid package for the south wing and for the demolition. I don't know if that's
Bid
specific
package
enough.
2A.
All right.
Interim school renovations and mass
That's
building.
what I said,
demolition.
2A, yeah.
So you've made a motion.
Yes. And demolition's a different package.
Same bid package, but the pricing will be broken out.
Okay.
Terry seconded. All those in favor of Kevin's motion? All right, go ahead and bid that. Okay. Let's bid that piece out. We'll see, I think that's important. That's an important piece. Start making the right moves. The next piece on here, the geotech proposal for the high school.
I did get 3 geotechnical proposals for the high school project. One from Holcomb Engineering, one from SCI, and one from PSI. And again, just like any other project, this gives us information that we will need at some point for design of the foundations of whatever you are going to do around that high school. So I would probably recommend that you go ahead and do this from a timing standpoint. Because even if you do a scaled down version of what we had proposed under Crop Kids originally, you're still gonna wanna have this information. And this is information that tells us, do you have unsuitable soils, which is fat clay, or undocumented fill, what depth of rock do you have? And their structural engineers use this to design the foundations, and it also gives us an idea on where we need to run utilities and so on and so forth.
So is this done on a grid pattern so that you have?
There are 11 borings that were
Okay.
predetermined around the vicinity of where these additions were gonna go.
So no matter where it gets shuffled, there should be a boring to go off of in
Yes.
the future.
And ideally, the information would be uniform, but that is not usually the case.
To answer your question directly, we use the existing design of the high school, and where there's not a building right now, and there's gonna be a new building, and there is availability for a rig to get out there and drill a hole, we ask for a boring. Now, is our design gonna stay the same? We don't know yet. So if our design changes, yes, we may need to ask for additional borings down in the future. Because this hillside has so many layers to it, there could be rock on one layer and no rock on the other layer, and we'd be making presumptions if we didn't have a boring in that area. So those 11 borings cover our bases with the current design. If it changes, we will have to ask for additional borings.
So Holcomb Engineering, is who was the, low proposal. That's also who has done the work out here in the past. Their amount was $10,385, which is about $2,000 lower than the second proposal, which is about $2,000 lower than the third proposal.
But you're recommending that even without Prop Kids and a plan to rebuild, that we go ahead and get this done? Because that's one step that we would save in the future, is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
And, in line with that too, we're also proceeding with, doing some utility locates around the high school so that if and when you guys do decide to move forward with a plan, we've got to jump on some things that we know are gonna be needed regardless.
Need a motion?
If we had to come back, let's say we did a redesign and Justin said there's a possibility we'd have to come back and drill another hole. What kind of cost, I mean, I'm assuming that they're gonna bring the rig in and you're paying X amount to bring it in and then so much per hole.
I'll give you, they have a breakdown on here, and on this proposal, their mobilization cost is $1,000, and they're $22 a foot.
Okay.
So, you've got.
So you're not talking about a giant additional expense?
Yeah.
The bulk of it will be done.
And we'll know more once we see the results of these 11 holes.
How consistent
If
they
there's
are.
any consistency or pattern, yeah.
I move that the board approve the geotech proposal from Holcomb.
Holcomb.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. You're good to go with that one, Colin.
Thank you.
Any more discussion on where we go from here?
I could just,
Steve, you had something on
I
it?
could just give you just a real quick update. We're continuing to work on the FEMA front, try to keep that ball rolling. As you know, they've been kind of on hold with the federal funding. They're starting to come back now, but either way, we've had some pretty productive discussions with them recently. We went through their DDD report, which is the report they generate from their site visits. And we flagged quite a few items on their list from our perspective that were things that should have been on the list, or we didn't understand how they had written them up on the list. So we did that, we wrote that, we shipped all those things back to them. We've prepared our documentation as far as what the cost is for this analysis for this 50% rule. So we've done that. We've done that a couple times. If you punted it back to us the first time, had some questions, and it related back to this DDD report that's, in my opinion, needs to be updated. So had some good conversations with them. We've sent them our comments back. They're going to redo their DDD report, and they're going to do so that it's in alignment with our cost estimate on the damages. So that's positive. So we'll see how long that takes them to kind of work back through that. That should be in good position relative to this 50% rule. But we'll see where that goes. We're continuing to do that on that end of it. There was a recent opportunity that was brought to Dr. Jones about a grant. So it's tied to your hazard mitigation plan. So they're requesting an NOI. They're saying, hey, you guys might be a candidate for this. There's no cost to putting an NOI together, and we'll help the school district do that. Put that data together, fill that form out, and get it sent in. Like I said, there's no obligation from you all on a cost side of it for services to get the things sent in, or anything with the BRIC grant. They'll review that, and at some point, if they deem your application to be the one they pick for the grant, for a grant, then they'll notify you, and then at that point, you'll have that discussion with them, and you'll say, yeah, yes, we're gonna do that, we won't want to pursue that. But it's much like the other FEMA grant opportunities. Generally, they cover 75% of the eligible cost, or whatever that works out to be. So to continue to pursue that.
So that's specific to, we participated as a school district 2 years ago in the Perry County Hazard Mitigation Planning. And we wrote in that the potential for a storm-strong structure. We also put in generators in case power goes out Perry County-wide, we could still operate for a period of time. Additional handheld radios, and a few other smaller things, a radio repeater tower, or a weather notification system, so a few other things. So because of the tornado hitting Perry County, now it just recently opened up and said, yes, these people who participated in this plan can apply for this if we accept it, but you first have to submit a notice of your interest. So an NOI letter needs to be written for the possibility of us using some storm-type strong structure in this building process. So we've asked Stephen and his team and Toth Engineering to assist with that language in that letter. That also occurred, Toth Engineering utilized them back in 2017 with the previous FEMA structures that were built. So we will submit that letter with their assistance. They will go through everybody's letters. We will be notified if we are invited to apply. And that's when we would come to the board and ask for your approval, or if we want to pursue it or not, because it would be a matching grant. And it's like the other FEMA, like you said, it's 75-25 match. Our thoughts are that it might help with some portion of this high school.
So again, they're gonna go through a process, and you may or may not get them. You can't predict it, when they're gonna make the decision. So we really just need to stay the course, but the point is that there are opportunities that are coming in, and as we see other opportunities for the school district, we're forwarding them to Dr. Jones. And you may as well at least keep trying on that. It's a peripheral activity over here that may or may not pay off, but so.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Any further discussion, or are we ready to move on? We are to waste management bids. Appears to me to be pretty easy.
What we typically do when we collect bids on services, we will put them side by side for you to do a comparison. And we also let the board know that the previous company that we had been under contract with. So we had 2 companies bid this one. We are currently with Waste Connections, and you can see the bid side by side.
Appears to me that Republic Services beat them pretty well across the board. Seriously, it's something
Julie put it side by side and highlighted so you all can see the comparison. It's very helpful, thank you.
Yeah, it was, I looked at it, it was pretty easy to figure that one out. Have we used Republic in the past ever? I used it in the shop. Dan, have we had Republic here in the past?
Not since I've been here, but I did talk to Mr. Burt Bigler that was here before me for 30-something years, and he said that we did use them in the past, and he cannot recall any major issues with them.
So I use them at work, and I don't have any trouble. I mean, you do, but you just call the lady and she fixes it.
Motion to approve bid from Public Services for waste management services for the 26-29 school year.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll be using for public services. Pest control. This one doesn't seem real challenging either. That's right. And that's the same, the company that we're using now, the Bug Guy.
Yeah, very, very good person to work with.
Motion to approve the bid from the Bug Guy for pest control services for 26-29 school years as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, fire safety systems.
Dan, how did it compare to our last bid
With the fire services,
for the bugs?
for the bugs, you know, that's one thing I didn't look, I think it increased a little bit from what I remember, but it wasn't substantial. I can get you that info if you need to know.
Weren't during
It's
years
okay.
past 3 or 4 companies that bid that? This year was down.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
Okay. The fire safety bid. Do you know who we use on that now, Dan?
Currently with
I just looked at
Centos.
the numbers. Oh, yeah. Wait. Seems like a number.
The fire is a little bit more, or can be a little bit more tricky. There's, so what I do is I go through the last 3 years worth of invoices, and I put multipliers to all the bids, but even when you do that, Centos definitely is the lower option. You know, some of them things on that bid list, like, for example, the last 3 years, we didn't buy a single brand new fire extinguisher. We just put it on there in case we do need them, but, you know, that information isn't really vital. It's mainly the service charge and the, I'm sorry, what is it? So the annual inspection per extinguisher, that's like 571 of them in a 3-year span. So you take that number and multiply it by 571, and that'll give you a rough idea of what we spent over the last 3 years. So it kind of changes from year to year depending on, you know, how many services, and some get thrown away and reallocated and whatnot. So.
Motion to approve the bid from Centos for fire safety system services for the 26-29 school years as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Welding rods and gases. We only had one again, so this is pretty much a no-brainer.
Any discussion?
Again, Dan, this is gonna be a question that you may not have, but do you know where this aligns to from previous? This isn't even you, this is Career
Yeah, I'm
Center.
sorry.
This is Career Center, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve the bid from Ozark Gas for welding rods and gases for the 26-27 school year as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? All right. Program evaluations. Dan and Caleb probably haven't had much time to review those. Any other questions or concerns on those for evaluations?
We are on a rotation, we'll try to do 2 or 3 every month. You send those out in your packet ahead of time. Do you ever have any questions? But we indicate a person that's responsible for those, so that's your contact person. Do you have any questions? And it's something that's more informational, doesn't require approval, but it's to keep you all just kind of in the loop for all of our programs.
That's just information.
I think one of the first years we tried to get together before the meeting and have each program come up and do like a presentation of their evaluation. They ended up taking 3 months to get through it. It's a whole lot. So they just sort of
Here it is, read it on your own.
been releasing them in the agenda and kind of read it on your own. If there's no concerns or questions. Okay, employment opportunities.
Right, very similar to our previous month's posting there. We do still have several openings left for the 2026-27 school year. Hope to take care of a couple of those in closed session this evening here. And we unfortunately had a couple recently who were offered a contract who have not taken that, so we'll be having some more interviews coming up here. So,
Attendance report.
last month, as Kevin was popping on me, I think it was, I think between staff and students, we've had an improvement there with our attendance. I've got assistant principals. Thank you, Mrs. Littleton. But I think we're doing better as far as students and staff there, and our attendance has improved over the last month or so from our previous report there. And they do, I say it every time, thanks to our administrators, other folks in the room here, and teachers getting our kiddos here. And, very, very important. They do a great job of that, trying to make sure that here lost class time is lost instructional time. They do a great job of trying to get those kiddos in the classroom, on the school bus, things like that. So, thank you.
Financial report.
We have provided, again, that consistent report for you all, which starts with first the revenues, a year to date, and also with 3 prior years at one single glance. We provide that information for everyone so that you can see the local revenue, the state revenue, and federal revenue. Where we are year to date so far this school year, and in comparison where we were the same date 2 prior years. So you've got 3 years worth of data there visually. We also provide that in a format for the numbers. With the numbers, you can see where we were previously, the previous year-to-date amount, our current year-to-date amount, and what we have planned to budget as a revenue. You can see it kind of tracks the percent of the budget at that point. And again, it's local, state, and federal that we break it out. That next page then flips over to all expenses that we have spent this current school year, year to date. And those are broken out by salary and benefits, purchase services, and supplies and materials. You can see that where we are currently, where we were this time last year, and where we were this time the year before, visually, as well as a breakdown, and where we had budgeted, and where we're tracking so far towards meeting that budget. We try to do this every single month so you have a comparison of not just this current year budget, but you have a comparison to 2 prior years' information as well. So you have some longevity and tracking with budget, the revenue and both expenditures.
Questions or comments on the financial report at this
Your
point?
capital outlay, is that significantly higher? Is that because of paying for things with the tornado.
It's Fund 4. Anything that costs $5,000 or more comes out of capital Fund 4.
So that's out of the general budget, not necessarily insurance money and stuff like that.
Correct. So, and there was a time, before the insurance money came in that we paid a lot of those bills out of our current budget. That's what a fund balance is for. A school district, and this is my opinion, a school district is not supposed to hole up a bunch of money in the bank. You spend the money on students and staff. But you do have to have a reserve for emergencies. And if this year didn't teach us anything, it taught us that it's a good thing we had enough setting aside for a while. There's a lot of assumptions people like to take with that fund balance percent. It's an assumption that if you have a 30% fund balance, you can make it through 30% of the school year without any extra revenue coming in. There's some truth to that, and there's some complications to that. It's just a general assumption on how you value a fund balance. But it's not wise to build it up and let it set. The revenue is supposed to be used to educate and provide what we can for our students.
But DESI also has a minimum fund balance that we want you to have.
DESI will intervene and let your fund balance drop down to 4%. They're gonna start looking at you at about 7 and 10. I would not be comfortable with that at all. I'm very grateful that the prior year, when we went through the budget, if you all remember when the auditor came through and gave our budget report, it was a very strong budget report. The school board did a good job as far as managing that budget, and we had a very positive report from the auditor. And we are very glad that we went into that storm sitting financially prepared and strong. We should be able to recover from that very easily.
So the $2 million was paid out of Fund 1. Whereas
Which one are you referring to?
that capital outlay, and the 300,000 would have been coming out of Fund 4.
Previous year.
I think he's right here. Sorry.
That would all be out of Fund 4.
So it gets transferred it over and used Fund 4, but more had to be transferred than what was budgeted.
So, yes, you are limited on what you can transfer from Fund 1 over to Fund 4. The board kind of has some leeway there on what you want to transfer over. If you need more, you can transfer more, but that brings your fund balance down, because fund balance is just 1 and 2.
We moved around $1 million a year.
Was did the insurance money go into Fund 4, or is it in a separate fund?
The insurance money has to remain in a loss account. It's a wash account, and it does not intermingle.
But when we have capital outlay because of the storm damage, can we take it from that fund then to pay that, take it out of that loss account?
You can take it out of both. You could use your reserves to pay for storm damage, but you also have the insurance money to pay for storm damage. When and if you have a tax levy, that goes into your capital.
Into Fund 4.
So only $1 million of it could have been Fund 1 money. The others would have had to been insurance, come from the insurance.
Insurance is not in this capital outlay number that you're pointing to.
Okay.
So anything that's $5,000 or more could be in there. So if you want to stop by, I can show you like the whole ledger of everything that comes through that. It breaks that out. That's lumping a whole lot of codes together.
Right.
Because even the buildings, each building has Fund 4 capital codes that they use as well. And departments, anything that's a significant cost is gonna land in 4. And this report is lumping a whole lot of that together. So I could bring that further out and open that up and let you see more of that broken out. Would that help?
Since it has to be Fund 4, I wondered how we managed to get it paid. I guess, because of the differences in the funds. Fund 4.
But we had a balance in Fund 4 too, at the end of last year, at the end of last budget. There was a balance in Fund 4, I don't recall what it was.
Okay.
Because I think last year we chose not to transfer that money because Fund 4's balance was so
Already had.
I'm happy to, I
No,
kind of provide a breakdown too.
Yeah. Fair enough.
All right. Moving on to the board newsletter. This is something they've been putting together for us for a few months. It highlights a lot of dates and times of events on and around campus. It does not include all the special meetings that we're calling. Any questions or concerns about the board newsletter? One motion.
Motion to adjourn the open session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Open session is adjourned.